The idea, first proposed back in 2010 by a Georgia lawyer commenting on a blog under the screen name Beowulf, has now received endorsements from Nobel laureate Paul Krugman, former director of the U.S. Mint Philip Deal, and a number of members of Congress. On Wednesday, White House spokesperson Jay Carney even fielded a question about the proposal from our own Chuck Todd.
Following up on debt ceiling, I know your position hasn't changed on the 14th Amendment. You guys have a position on this $1 trillion coin business?
I would simply go back to what I said. The option here is for Congress to do its job and pay its bills. Bills that have already been racked up.
Will you totally rule it out?
Like you could speculate about a lot of things, but nothing needs to come to these kinds of, speculative notions about how to deal with a problem that is easily resolved by Congress doing its job.
Okay, sure, but if Congress doesn't do its job, here's how the coin would work. Republicans are once again threatening to hold the debt ceiling hostage, as they did in the summer of 2011. That is, they will not vote to raise the limit of the amount the U.S. government can borrow unless the White House and Democrats agree to some draconian spending cuts. Never mind, we're already slated for European levels of austerity this year. If no deal is reached, the U.S. has to start stiffing its creditors, deciding how to prioritize payments, which will almost certainly cause markets to freak and interest rates to spike. Enter the coin. It turns out there's a subsection of the U.S. Code called Denominations, Specifications, and Design of Coins that includes the following provision. The Secretary may mint and issue platinum bullion coins and proof platinum coins in accordance with such specifications, designs, varieties, quantities, denominations, and inscriptions as the Secretary, in the Secretary's discretion, may prescribe from time to time. The original intent of this legislation was to give the Secretary of the Treasury some latitude to issue commemorative coins for collectors, but the plain meaning of the statute is clear. The Treasury can issue a platinum coin in any denomination as the Secretary of the Treasury designates. The idea of trillion-dollar coin advocates is the President would direct the Treasury to mint a trillion-dollar platinum coin and then deposit it in the Treasury's bank account at the Federal Reserve, and voila. We now have $1 trillion more in the bank, and we don't have to worry about the debt ceiling. If this sounds surreal or ridiculous or magical to you, you are not wrong. It's totally bizarre and unprecedented. Even if it's legal, as many legal experts believe it to be, it seems to run against our expectations of how our government does and should behave. It's the kind of thing that just isn't done. But that, you see, is the entire point. Behavior of individuals within an institution is constrained by the formal rules, explicit prohibitions, and norms, implicit prohibitions, that aren't spelled out but just aren't done. And what the modern Republican Party has excelled at, particularly in the era of Obama, is exploiting the gap between these two. They've made a habit of doing the thing that just isn't done. Requiring a 60-vote majority for nearly every simple procedural vote just wasn't done, and then Republicans did it. Refusing to confirm any candidate for an open position because you object to the position's very existence just wasn't done, but Senate Republicans did precisely that with the newly created Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which they continue to boycott. And most clearly, before the summer of June 2011, opposition parties didn't use the debt ceiling as a bargaining chip with which to extract ransom, and they certainly didn't credibly threaten default as a means to gain political leverage. The President has been extremely reticent to meet this extraordinary degradation of previous norms with innovations of his own. He is, at heart, an ardent institutionalist. But there is no way to unilaterally maintain norms. Once they're gone, and the only way to produce a new set of healthy norms is to do some innovating of your own. And you can tell, I think, the trillion-dollar coin idea spooks Republicans precisely because it would be so out of character. It would so gleefully and flagrantly violate their own expectations about how Democrats play the game. The National Republican Congressional Committee has gone ballistic on the idea, sending out press release after press release, railing against the coin. NRCC Chair Greg Walden, spying a political opportunity, has rushed into the fray.
The last thing we need is for the Treasury to just simply mint a new coin made out of platinum that would weigh, by the way, Neil, 44 million pounds if it was tied to the value of platinum like gold has to be tied. I mean, that would sink the Titanic.
The only problem here is that he completely misunderstands the actual idea. Just as a $100 bill isn't made of $100 worth of cotton, a new trillion-dollar coin wouldn't be made of $1 trillion of platinum. Just a single small bit of platinum will do. That's all. It's really just an invention. Economist John Kenneth Galbraith once said, "The process by which banks create money is so simple that the mind is repelled." And the same can be said of how our government creates money. The simple truth is it creates money simply out of thin air. Someone at the Federal Reserve punches in a number in a spreadsheet and voila, more money. At moments of profound crisis, it was precisely this kind of monetary magic that helped the U.S. avoid catastrophe. Abraham Lincoln printed greenbacks to fund the Union, and his opponents mocked him mercilessly for doing so, which this cartoon from the time depicting a machine spewing bills shows. And FDR ditched the gold standard to get us out of the Great Depression. Both those ideas were, at the time, probably about as ridiculous as a $1 trillion coin. While there are rules that guide legal tender, at base what makes money valuable is simply social convention, a norm. We all agree it's valuable, so it's valuable. The genius of the $1 trillion coin isn't just that it provides some much-needed leverage against an foe unencumbered by any sense of propriety. It also illustrates the uncomfortable foundational reality of modern capitalism. Money is nothing more than a shared illusion. It's a kind of magic. But is it good magic or bad magic? I want to ask my panel right after this.